Before starting today's episode, let's speak directly from the heart. Mental health and addiction are deeply serious life or death issues. Millions of people carry heavy hidden pain every single day, and that suffering is real. Nothing said today is meant to make light of pain, downplay struggles, or ignore the reality of mental illness. This is not coming from a doctor, a therapist, or a specialist. There are no prescriptions here, and no one is being told to stop taking their medicine. For many people, medical help and doctor care are life-saving tools, and that's respected completely. The goal today is not to judge people or criticize how anyone copes with their pain. The goal is to hold society responsible. It's time to look at why so many are hurting in the first place, and why cold, lonely system keep failing us. This is a space of deep caring, zero judgment, and honest truth. To anyone struggling today, your pain matters. Your life matters. You deserve real, kind support and compassion, and you're enough. Have you ever stopped to wonder why so many of us are hurting right now? Why, in a world with more medicine, therapy, help than ever before, do people still feel more lonely than ever? Why do so many still feel like they don't belong? That they are being hurt, that no one is truly listening to them. All this help is around us, yet people are still completely lost, constantly looking for distractions just to numb their pain. This question comes up every single day. What are we doing wrong that is hurting people more and more? How can we think differently? How can we do things differently? That question stays in the mind constantly, and the full answer isn't completely clear. Maybe a perfect answer doesn't even exist, at least not to me. So today, this is an open conversation about mental health and addiction that goes beyond the basic checklist. It's not just about therapy. It's not just about pills. Today is about the deep pain of being alone. It's about how big systems fail human beings, causing so many to fall through the cracks, and how people can be pushed to think there's something wrong with them rather than looking at how society treats them. So often, society's quick fix for pain is simply to numb it. We live in a world that pushes fast answers and distractions, teaching people to reach for street drugs or prescription pills to quickly cover up a deep, open wound. But think, but think about how backward this is. If you don't know where you're going to sleep tonight, or if you're pushing yourself to the limit every day and still can't feed your kids, your mind is going to be in non-stop survival mood. We label this as anxiety or depression. But so often, it's not just a problem in the brain. It's a natural human reaction to poverty, unfair treatment, and the quiet hatred that immigrants and minority groups face every day. Yet, what do? So often, we take a person who has been homeless, who grew up in an unsafe home, who survived horrible abuse, and we hand them a checklist and a pill. We label them. We tell them, go take this pill to fix yourself because you're a broken one. You're the problem. But we really stop to ask, how was that pain created in the first place? What terrible situation caused it? It isn't just one person's problem. We treat emotional pain like a personal failure, completely ignoring the world around us. Dr. Gabor, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name properly, is Gabor Mate. It spells Gabor and last name spells Mate. Explain this in simple words, and he writes, all of the labels you deal with, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and severe mental illnesses, are deeply rooted in trauma. They are sign of trauma, so a label doesn't explain anything. The mistake in the medical world is that we gave someone a label and think that that explains it. But no one just has these things like a cold. These are things happening inside a person that shows what they have lived through. It has meaning in every single case. Think about that. As Dr. Gabor Mate says, these are all signs that show what you have lived through. They are a reflection of your life story. And yet, so many systems want to treat the label instead of helping heal the life story. Think about what happens in a daily life. When someone breaks down crying and opens up their heart, what is our quick reaction? We jump in to try to fix, or we quickly hand them a list of phone numbers. We start throwing advice at them. Have you seen a counselor? Have you tried a doctor? What about this pill? Just do this, take that, and you will be all fine. I was guilty of these at the beginning. The more I educated myself, the less I'm going internally rather than externally. We rush them towards distractions. We rush them to get fixed fast. And why? Often it's because sitting with someone else's heavy pain makes us uncomfortable, or because we want to walk away feeling good about ourselves. But that isn't true help. If we truly want to support people through mental health struggles or addiction, we have to stop rushing them. We need to build safe spaces where we can sit down and just sit in pain with them. We need to let them know their feelings make sense. Let them know that what they feel is a normal reaction to their hard life, their struggles, and their environment. Please don't rush people to be strong. Don't rush them to be positive. Don't rush them to get over it. To be clear, there are absolutely people who genuinely need medicine. There are health conditions that require prescriptions to stay safe. That is not being ignored at all. But not every struggle needs a pill. Not everyone needs to be put in a heavy drugs just because they're going through a painful time in life. And when pills are used as the only answer to numb minds and bodies without healing the deep pain underneath, we miss the real problems that needs healing. Consider what's missing in modern life by looking at traditional communities. In my own upbringing in Pakistan, life was very hard. Poverty, money struggles, war, and deep pain were everywhere. But one powerful thing carried people through was community and love. People came together. They helped each other. They cried together when they lost their loved ones and healed together. They shared their struggles without judgment, showing real kindness. Why? Because they understood each other's pain. They know what it meant to lose a loved one to war, or to go without food, or to move from one country to another, keep rebuilding a house and the houses keep being taken away from you or shattered. That shared pain brought people together to heal each other. In our house growing up, the main medicine was for a simple cough or cold. During hard times, sitting down with family, talking, crying, and finding an answer together was how we moved forward. In selfish modern environments, however, social and family connections are easily cut off. People become alone, and when they are alone, society gives them a label and a checklist. And we cannot talk about mental health without honoring the truth of historical pain. The terrible harm done to indigenous families through residential schools and lost cultures is not just an old history story. It is a living pain carried in bodies and minds today. You cannot fix a wound that deep with a cold checklist. We must stop forcing people into rigid systems that doesn't that don't understand their history and start making space that are truly safe, respectful, and focused on cultural healing. And instead, when society becomes too selfish, people only think about what they can get, how to get ahead, or how to beat others, rather than helping each other up. And when someone struggles, they are left to fight completely alone. When they finally ask for help, they often face judgment, labels, and more isolation. To become angry, overwhelmed, and deeply hurt, then society points a finger at them. But that pain is simply what happens when a human being is pushed to their limit with no one to catch them. When looking at how cold and harsh big system can become, history shows us that breaking human minds by keeping people isolated is an old planned trick. Leaders and cruel government throughout history knew this well. Look at history. Look at how Hitler and his government took control of millions of minds. They didn't just do it with guns. They did it by playing mind games with hurting people. History shows us how that plan worked. First, they cut people off from their communities, their culture, and free thinking. Then they shut down news, banned books, and made speaking up a crime. They kept people alone. They kept everyone living in constant fear, so people felt too afraid to trust to their own neighbors or their own family members. And they didn't just trick people out of nowhere. History shows they used exiting pain, poverty, and hatred that was already there. They took people who were already hurting from war and poverty and turned that pain into a weapon. They gave them people to blame. They forced ugly labels onto human beings and destroyed kindness. They even target children, changing school books with government lies, so young people grow up without the words, even a question what was happening. When you stripe away a person's culture, cut them off from community, and take away their words to express pain, you break their mind. You make them weak and dependent on whatever system or fast answers handed to them. And that's historical truth bringing us right back to how trauma is treated today. To share a personal and deep part of my life, when giving birth to my first child, my son, I was only 16 years old. Just a teenager sitting alone in a hospital room, barely able to speak English. 5 or 6 days were spent all alone in that hospital bed. No family visited. No one was there to accept my ex-partner who stopped by quickly at night for just a few minutes before leaving for work the next day. Imagine that situation. Completely alone in a hospital room, barely able to speak to the nurses. Looking down at this beautiful innocent baby that just came into the world, a massive wave of fear hits. Suddenly, total responsibility for this little life sits in. How am I going to be a parent now? What am I going to do? How am I going to raise him? How am I going to be a mother? Fears, confusion, and overwhelming feelings were spinning inside. But back then, I didn't even have the words for these feelings. Panic and fear were happening, but there were no words to name them. So silence took over. Just sitting there, watching everyone in that room, tears would fall. I would faint right there in that bed, and the nurses had to come and wake me up and care for me. Now ask yourself, in that moment, was medicine what I needed? If a doctor walked into that room without knowing my story, they might have said, she is deeply depressed, offer for pills, along with labels of depression. But that was not just a problem in my brain. That was deep loneliness. That was raw trauma. When someone is in a situation like that, handing them a pill is not an answer. How is a pill going to fix the fact that a 16-year-old girl is completely alone, unable to speak the language, terrified, and has no help? Choosing not to take those pills at that time was a gut decision. Sharing this story isn't about asking for pity. It shows a simple truth. Not all mental pain comes from inside the body. Real world problems crush into our lives and causes huge pain. People going through this don't just need a label and a bottle of pills. They need real human help. They need people to step in with true care, support them, and lift them out of the darkness that they're suffering all alone. They need services that are actually easy to get. Having help on paper doesn't mean it's actually there for a lonely immigrant's teenager. It's scary. Is that help? Is that help is that a kind help? Is it understanding? So often it falls short. For generations, humans relied on close communities, shared traditions, and faith. But today, when people move or get swallowed by selfish environments, those culture and family ties get cut. In that empty space, fast fixes take over. Whether it's alcohol, street drugs, or too many prescription pills, we basically tell people, go deal with your own pain. And that's where deep struggles and addictions start. Addiction doesn't happen out of nowhere. It comes from an empty heart and unhealed pain. And instead of building supportive groups, society keeps people busy chasing money and things, pushing them to always want more. We build a world where people made to feel like they are never doing enough or that they are never good enough. We keep our eyes on what we can buy. But when we look back, we have lost the relationships that matter most. When society becomes too self-centered, it creates deep loneliness. And that loneliness brings what? Anxiety, depression, and sadness. Society sets a rule and says, you need to match this. But how can someone match that when carrying a heavy load of trauma? How can someone who came to a new country looking for peace heal when they have to fight brand new battles just to survive? They are left to deal with a cold system just to figure out how to fit in, let alone heal. Even with money, this way of living is failing. Mental health pain costs our society billions every year. But instead of fixing stressful, hurtful places or building strong communities, systems wait until people break down completely, then try to place them. We pay a heavy price when we treat people like machines. People spend thousands of dollars on counseling, self-help books, and programs to heal. Some find a way through, which is great, but so many fall through the cracks. They get lost, they fall into severe addiction, or get caught up in the court system, and then society blames them. It is easy for big system to blame the person instead of fixing the broken world around them. Honestly, no book or therapy session will fix a wound of society keeps telling you that you don't belong. Look at what happens today with social media. People hide behind their screens and post mean, hurtful comments about someone's religion, culture, character, or look. They just post it, hiding behind a picture while throwing hateful and discriminatory words at other human beings. If you do good, you get judged. If you do bad, you get judged. This is one of the biggest causes of mental pain and loneliness for young people today. How long are we going to keep dividing people, misjudging them, calling them names, and saying hurtful things? We have more access to learning and tools than ever before to grow and work on who we are rather than pointing fingers, judging hair color, appearances, or personal details. Why can we people just mind their own business? Unfortunately, these online spaces feel out of control and people keep spreading mean comments. But what people fail to see is how deeply those words hurt someone who has already survived trauma and they're battling every day to wake up, get out of their bed. When someone who grew up in an abusive home or someone who fled a war-torn country reads those mean comments, those words bring back the exact same pain from their past. They hear the voice of their abuser all over again. They don't know how to protect themselves from that hate. So what do? They shallow it inside. And when they shallow that judgment, they pull away from the world. They suffer from deep loneliness, anxiety, and pain. And who they make their best friend? Substances. Was that pain in their genes? No, it was caused by hurtful words from outside. How much can one person do to protect themselves from non-stop hate? This is where we must stand up together as a community. We are responsible for guiding people in the right direction. We must stop sharing, liking, or laughing at comments that hurt someone else. We don't need to fight or punish people, but we do need to kindly remind them that their words have a real painful impact on living people. It starts with us refusing to join in. And this judgment doesn't just stay online. It happens in person every single day, in public, and even when our own culture groups, people look up and down, judging your accent, your background, or how you look. It happens at work. It happens when you walk in the bus. It happens when you're going to party or events, when you're socializing. It's never ending. Harsh judgment causes deep wounds. It leads straight to loneliness, anxiety, and pain. I can't emphasize this more than that. As Mother Teresa once said, if you judge people, you have no time to love them. So much time is wasted picking people apart, labeling them and judging them that we forget how to offer simple human kindness. We judge people for talking too much, for being too quiet. We use mean jokes to put people down. And then we say, oh, I was just joking. It's sad. It's truly sad. Why can't we accept people as they are? If you can't find a way to help someone, at the very least, do not hurt them. What helps? Navigate those tears, that loneliness, and those heavy moments in life. In my tongue and my journey was my faith and prayer. Holding on to them tightly makes all the difference. When life gets hard, the key is not running away from pain, but sitting with it. Let pain guide you through your feelings without rushing to distract yourself or numb what is there. Sit with it, understand it, allow tears to fall with zero shame. Own your story and face life and other people with honesty and grace. If we come together as one, setting aside titles, pride, and status, we would have the power to fix poverty, loneliness, and so much suffering around us. But so often when people try to get together, pride gets in the way. Everyone wants to be right. Everyone wants to be the boss or be heard first. And everybody competes. And that fighting breaks apart the teamwork needed to make real change. People staying apart is the root of so much human pain. So the question left for everyone today is this: how can we put away our pride, come together, and truly care for one another? People are hurting out there. People are carrying heavy pain. Connecting with each other is essential for survival. No one carries these heavy loads alone. When you talk to someone today, really see them. Don't act cold or hide behind walls just to protect yourself. Be there. Listen from your heart, not from your head. There's a difference. This isn't about pointing finger or blaming anyone. It's about all of us working to truly understand each other. Thank you for listening. Keep your hearts open, protect your peace, and stay connected.